Today, we have come out into the British countryside. There's a couple of cows behind me, as you may be able to see, and we're going to be talking about how to do wildlife photography, in particular bird photography for beginners. Now, if you're new to this channel, my name's Toby and I am a wildlife photographer. I have countless vlogs where you can go and watch me do wildlife photography in the real world. Today, I'm going to be giving you tips and tricks, and I'm also out here in the field. So if I see any wildlife, I will also demonstrate how I take the photo, and I'll talk you through the way I do it and the settings that I use. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and comment any questions you have in the comments down below. So first things first, what equipment are you going to bring with you when you go out to do wildlife photography? Well, your first instinct is he's talking about the camera gear that I use, and that's very important, but it's actually not the first thing I'm going to talk about. The first thing is going to be, what do you wear? What clothes are appropriate for wildlife photography? Now, depending on how intensely you want to do it, you may be going out all day, or you may be going out for just a couple of hours, but you want to plan your outfits so that it's appropriate. If it's a hot sunny day like today, you probably shouldn't wear a long sleeve shirt like I'm doing. And if you are, you want one that you can pull up around your elbows so that you have that air. If it's a warm day like today, you also want to bring a water bottle, and if you're hiking in a muddy area, you want to make sure you're wearing footwear that is appropriate, because there's nothing that can ruin a trip more than going out wearing the wrong things and not being prepared. For camera equipment, you're probably going to be using the best equipment that you have to hand. And I'm one of those really annoying people that says, go out and do wildlife photography with what you've got, even if that's only a smartphone and a pair of binoculars. It is possible. I did it when I started out. For me, I've been going a while, so I have a relatively nice camera setup, I'd say. Here I have with me my Canon 7D Mark II and my Sigma 150 to 600mm lens. You, on the other hand, might have a camera like the one I'm filming with, the Canon 250D, and a Canon 75 to 300mm lens, for example. No matter what equipment you have, the key is getting to know it. And when I say getting to know it, really get to know it. Get intimate with your camera. Yeah, that didn't sound as good out loud as it did in my head. Either way, get to know your settings. Go out, take photos of your family, take photos of your pets if you have them, take photos of plants and insects, anything you can find. Get to know how to use your camera in manual mode, because this will come in super handy later on. Now, I would also say when it comes to camera equipment, take as little as you need, even if that's literally the camera and the lens. You don't always need a tripod, for example. They just add extra weight, and that has to then go in your camera bag. Now, your camera bag is another important piece of equipment. This camera bag, for me, for example, works perfectly. It fits all of my big camera equipment, and it also fits the equipment that I use to film these videos. This camera bag, on the other hand, is quite heavy. And so if you're going on long hikes and you're not used to carrying a heavy bag, maybe look for one that's lighter. You probably also don't have quite as much film equipment, so it probably doesn't have to be quite as big. So now we get to the exciting part where we actually talk about taking photos, and the first question is, where are you going to take photos? Today we are in the Chiltern Hills. It's a beautiful area within the Surrey Hills, where there's hills, as the name suggests. There's also forests, fields, there's a beautiful river behind me, and in the middle of this forest there is a secret which we are going to take a look at a bit later on. Once you've chosen your location, it's important to think about lighting. Now, the sun is currently in front of me, and because the light source is in front of me, pointing towards me, I want to be shooting in this direction. I want to be shooting behind me in the same direction as the sun. That allows me to use all of the light that the sun's providing in my photos. You see, this video, I'm not currently in the sun, but this video is better when I'm in the sun because the camera I'm filming on is using that light and it doesn't have to use as much ISO, for example. However, if I put the sun behind me, you'll see it kind of blacks me out. I go silhouetted. The quality is not going to be as high. So make sure you're looking at where your sun or your light source is and shooting in the same direction so that you can use it to your advantage. Across the stream here, there's a robin. He's hopping around in that deep foliage and I'm going to struggle to get a picture. But if he comes out into a clearing, we might get a small opportunity. Now, when it comes to taking pictures like this, where I know there's the wildlife there, but I can't see it yet, you need to take advantage of that. You need to make sure that you're preparing your settings in advance. Now, this is a shadowy area, so I want as much light as possible, meaning I'm going to use a lower shutter speed. The rule for shutter speed is to use at least the same as your focal length. So I'm currently at 300 millimeters, but if I see the robin, I will go up to 600 millimeters. That means that I want my shutter speed to be at 600 at least. If you can go higher, then go higher, but it wants to be at least the same as your shutter speed. My aperture I'm going to have on its lowest possible setting, which for this lens is going to be 6.3. That's going to let as much light in as possible. And then the ISO I have on auto, and it's even better than just a few wrens because we've actually got a family. So there's a couple of juvenile wrens chasing after their mum in these bushes in front of me. This is a great opportunity to get pictures of young wrens, which are slightly different to wrens. Now, the lighting is terrible. It's in the densest bit of forest you could find. And if you want to hear my tips and tricks for how to do photography on an overcast day in a deep forest, then go and check out my last video, the video before this one, because I talk about how to take photos in this kind of low light situation. I'm going to be using the tips from that video here, and I'll put that video up in a card in the top corner. Maybe this one, maybe that one. I always get the corner wrong. So check that out once you've watched this video, and let's see what photos we can get of this wren. Oh my word, there's a robin right in front of me. You probably won't be able to see that. He's literally, I kid you not, he's about a meter away from me. If I move, it's going to fly away. That's so cute. I am so invisible, hunkered down here. I'm currently about 2 meters off the path in the middle of a bunch of leaves. And obviously I'm wearing a lot of brown, so I just tie into the mud. It's great. My next tip for wildlife photography is how you behave while you're taking the photos. You not only want to be quiet, you also want to make yourself as small as possible. As you saw in the bushes when I was taking photos of the wrens, I was crouched down, and currently I'm sitting looking over a river crossing where a tree has fallen over the river, and again I'm hunkered down. By crouching, or even better, lying on the ground, you minimize your profile, which makes you less intimidating to wildlife, making them more comfortable or potentially oblivious to your presence. This will allow you to get better opportunities to take photos of the wildlife. Risking my life to get these shots for you guys, so appreciate this montage. And this large block here is the first clue we have that we're getting close to the surprise in the middle of the forest. Straight ahead of me here, I have a little post with a big wooden beetle on it. And on top of that post is a magpie. Now this magpie is enjoying the sun. He's sitting there with his feathers out, sunbathing really. So I'm going to take some pictures. Now here I can zoom in all the way to the bird and get photos like this. However, the bird is also sitting on a quite cool post. So I can zoom out and get pictures of the post as well. Never underestimate the power of getting a bird in context. Get that bird in the environment, because quite often the environment is what makes the picture different. A magpie is always a magpie, but where it is will change. Here we just have a huge wall that would have once held up this enormous facility. And here we have a bunch of enormous wheels. I'm assuming they were used to turn something, maybe to transport something. And just behind these wheels, in this hedge, we have this really old and overgrown area. We've got some pillars in the background there. There's this little almost bunker thing, and it looks like you could go down inside there. Now this is the Chilworth Gunpowder Mills, and I'm no historian, so I'm going to link the information for this place in the description down below. But it's carrying so much history, and I'd be lying if I said it weren't just a little bit spooky. Through here we come into a room. Now this is a large room with this big kind of rock pillar in the middle. And then we can carry on through to another room. This place is vast. If you haven't been to these gunpowder mills before, then I would highly recommend that it's a place you visit. It's so eye-opening seeing these old structures in the ways that they would have been used, but they've also just been left to rot here in a forest. Let's come out and appreciate them. Now, I hope you've enjoyed hearing my tips and tricks for wildlife photography, especially for beginners. I've enjoyed sharing them with you, and I hope that you can take away some of these tips and tricks that you've learned and apply them to your photography journey. If that's the case, hit that like and subscribe, and comment any questions you have down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.